As the rich get richer and the poor get poorer in today's money-centric world, today we want to take a look at something that may change the way one may see the world, especially after they make their first billion, if they ever make it. Well, it turns out there are more billionaires in the world today than we might think, especially as there are a wide variety of ways to get there. If it's not Elon Musk with tech, it's LeBron James with sports. Let's not forget Kylie Jenner with fashion and cosmetics. So when you think of the possibilities of how one could become a billionaire in the country with the world's biggest economy, it should make you question just how many billionaires there are living in America. Sure, there are those declared on the Forbes lists we see from time to time, but how reliable are they really? Furthermore, it seems that there should be several incentives for such wealthy people to remain out of the limelight. How would they avoid the attention that comes with it, so much so you may never even appear on such a list? Let's take a look at how many billionaires there might actually be in existence and why it'll serve them better to stay out of the limelight. Apparently, there are 735 billionaires living in America. That comes up to a combined net worth of $4.5 trillion. While this is totally believable in itself, especially after highly reputable business organizations like Forbes are the ones giving us this information, however, when you look at the fine print of these publications, you'd see that these lists are actually qualified lists. Apparently, these 735 billionaires touted by the magazines are only the listed ones. Pretty sneaky if you ask me, especially as they could easily have said that they do not know how many there truly are. As such, how many billionaires are there really? Well, the way Forbes gathers their information is that they use their worldwide network to gather information from public financial records, interviews employees, attorneys, and even the rivals of people they think may be carrying the big bucks. Sometimes they even contact those they believe to be billionaires. While some of these guys may offer information as to their wealth willingly, others shy away from these intrusive interviewers. When you think about it, you can't really blame them for wanting some privacy when it comes to their affairs. As such, these people tend to hide their wealth by finding ways to filter their money or move it around so that they can keep those busybodies on their toes. As such, you can say that most of these Forbes lists are educated guesses at best. Frankly, it appears to be that there will be many billionaires who will never make it to any of these lists either, even though these billionaires would definitely qualify thanks to their massive wealth. One of such groups of people that could evade the lists are families who come together to have a combined wealth that's in the billions. Even larger than that is the group made up of people known to use their country's national reserves as their personal bank accounts. Think the likes of military dictators like Putin, if you will. However, as difficult as it is to track these sorts of billionaires, it seems that there is even another subgroup of wealthy men whose publications like Forbes and Bloomberg seem to have difficulty when it comes to tracking down their net worth. Apparently, these undetectable billionaires are the billionaires who made something around $250 million in the 90s and invested it well from then on. Apparently, it's actually that simple. Considering how much $250 million was back in the 90s, it was still enough to make somebody wealthy without being detected as one of the richest men in the country, something that seems to come with some infamy. This seemed to work especially well when it came to seemingly boring businesses who dealt with other businesses. Apparently, these $250 million exits and payouts seem to occur every day, so much so that it's not even only the founders of such businesses that were capable of coming away with such a haul. Silent early investors could also quietly make that money without drawing any attention. It may even have been as simple as this. If somebody made the $250 million exit from the dot-com bubble in the 90s, then put all of it in the market while spending a small percentage of it annually, they'd probably be worth about $3.3 billion today without anybody even having a clue. Either way, while there were some who couldn't help but soak in the limelight as they enjoyed their money, or those who couldn't help but attract attention due to the way they became billionaires, quite a few billionaires do what they can to avoid the limelight. What could be the main reason for this evasive nature? Well, simply put, it seems like there are three main reasons for this. First off, and perhaps the most obvious reason of them all, most billionaires avoid the Forbes list and other similar publications because they could actually do without the public notoriety that comes with it. You see it all the time. Whether it's an athlete or a successful businessman that finally brought success to his family, or that lucky punter at the corner store who won the lottery, we all know they could do without that constant begging for money or those constantly trying to get them to invest in their business. Let's not even forget those who attract enough attention to get robbed and kidnappings. In fact, they are the most logical targets for such attacks, so much so that it won't be strange to see millionaires, not to talk about billionaires, without having security somewhere close by. Look how weird it was to see Erling Haaland walking down the streets of Manchester by himself. The need for security has become such an industry that even these security agents become multi-million-dollar industries themselves. As such, it becomes obvious why keeping a low profile as a billionaire may be the best way of life for them. The second reason that it's best for such billionaires to stay out of the Forbes list is because they'd actually rather avoid being associated with the people who usually make such a list. You see, they may not tell you, but a lot of people who make these lists pay you to get on them. Have you ever heard that song, "Video Killed the Radio Star"? Well, social media is slowly but surely killing the print industry. As such, Forbes and all these other print publications must bring in that paper one way or the other. One of the ways they now make revenue is to do paid articles for those who need some good publicity. For several $1,000s, you could get a nice piece written on how you changed the way business is approached in your country, and for a few thousand more, you could find yourself on the Forbes Top 30s list. Where it was once a target to make these lists based on merit, now it seems like this has been relegated to just another publicity stunt. Apparently, their best business comes from those who are seeking the most attention, and if you can hire someone who's willing to cooperate on their terms, they're good to go. As such, those who'd rather keep a low profile and are perhaps more secure in their wealth may do well to avoid such lists. Heck, hopefully they could make it on the list on their own merit. If they can't, I guess they feel they could do without it. It gets even worse where there are now allegations of fraud and scam against those who had recently made the Forbes lists. Turns out such scammers use these lists to gain some undeserved credibility, just to take advantage of it at the end of the day. No doubt, it may be best for the wealthy to maintain some legitimacy to their wealth by avoiding the Forbes lists, unless they are included on their merit. And even with that, it may not even be worth it because of the security and notoriety reasons we mentioned earlier on. Finally, the last reason people don't make it onto the Forbes list is apparently selection bias. Forbes only wants you when you're hot and not when you're not, and it seems like appearing on the Forbes list can be a bit like appearing on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Once you get on it, the only way to go is down. As such, it goes without saying that considering such a factor, anybody that pushes to get onto one of Forbes' lists may just be fishing for attention. It turns out that such people who'd rather seek out this attention instead of concentrating on their work away from the glaring light of the limelight may have some trouble maintaining their wealth in the long run. This may be because of the overconfidence that may lead them to take unnecessary risks with their business endeavors. As such, having a profile of being someone who seeks attention like that may be detrimental to their brand. Investors may not want to invest in their brand if they learn that they may already be wealthy and people may mark up the prices of their goods and services because they know these billionaires have it made. Clearly, there are a few problems to becoming a high-profile billionaire. As such, the best thing for a billionaire may be to keep a low profile as one. As such, there are several ways to achieve this. For example, if your money is coming out of the sale of a business, it might be best for you to avoid making the sale public. Not every big sale has to be with an IPO. Also, a private equity exit or acquisition from a bigger company may be another option to keep your acquisition of wealth confidential. Another way to do so is to diversify your portfolio, because it would be difficult for these nosy investigators to trace your wealth or your sources of income and how much it all comes to. Just make sure you do not stray from the law, because if you get sued, your public earnings can be a matter of public record. Again, to stay out of trouble means to stay safe. Furthermore, it may be best to avoid the flashier things out there, because shiny things attract attention. We're not saying don't live comfortably, but all we're saying is you may want to tone it down a little. As such, you can see how if there are even up to 100 of these people in America, it may be difficult for them to be traced because it may be in their best interest to avoid such a list. For now, we may not know how many billionaires there may be, but we know there are many out there, making $1 at a time without attracting any attention at all. With that, this video has come to an end. Do you want to hear about one of America's first billionaires? Why don't you watch our video on J.P. Morgan, the man who owned America? Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Until next time, goodbye.